Hello, everyone. This is a very short explanation of how to create a target list that is for NINA for automated observations on your telescope. Now, we'll limit our example to a situation where you've created one target you want to look at. This can be applied more broadly. I think you can infer from what we've presented here that you can do more than just a single target. But we're using GDS 1.03, which can create a target list by your searching, which is wonderful. And you could select individual items and create from that your target list that is completely compatible with the NINA plugin. We're focusing on as if you only had selected one, and that one is the one you want to observe. So if you assume that, as you say here, we've selected an example here of this particular one, and here's the RA and deck of that one. And to isolate it, we're going to constrict our search to just the nearest part of that area. So we'll only hopefully get that single one. And so I did that, and I do it by setting the RA and deck. If you look at the prior slide, you'll see that this is only roughly 1 minute in each direction wide around the actual position. I also set all these things, the other parameters, wide, really wide, so that I wouldn't exclude it by accident. Up here in the yellow are the components that will go into the data fields that will go into your target list. Very important one is you can isolate your target list in a fashion that will separate it by project. So you may have multiple projects you're pursuing. Then you can set it here by user. It's called user. It's also useful to put in your name in there so that it'll be identified to you. So in this case, I just created one, voice one. It could have been, voice umptium. So it doesn't matter what that is, but useful to create both your name and a project. These will be default times for the exposure time, and number of exposures, cycles, which means repeats, how many times you want to repeat it, and the filter you want to use. Now, very important that if you're interested in WS targets, select that. I don't think you care about photometry or the period in particular, and select degrees. And this means you'll get the output in decimal form, which is very much more compatible with loading into the NINA plugin. Unfortunately, hours, minutes, seconds we're used to can be confused by Microsoft and will convert it to funny things like maybe dates. Lastly, be sure you include WDS and write all records. This applies more to the next step, but I'd like to be doubly sure. You can sort it in any order you want. It's not going to matter if you only have one. It doesn't matter. I'm sorting. And then the last item I would say here is just go ahead and apply. Once you've applied, you'll get a slide. You'll get a result, something like this. And you'll see up here, I've got what I said for. I've got the same things I established. Then, in this case, I did period. Not that it matters, only one. And I had degrees, so forth. And it created just the one that I was looking for. Note that it's not obvious which one it is because I don't have the WTS number that I was pursuing on this page. But anyway, you have converted to the decimal format the hours, minutes, seconds that you were familiar with when you selected that target. As noted here, you can rerun it if you want very quickly. And I didn't mention at the very beginning, be sure you spend time to allow for everything to load in GDS 1.03. If you've not used it before, you may stumble on that. That is important. So anyway, when you're happy with this, you can modify it a few times. Once you're satisfied with it, click on Write CSV file. Okay. That will create a file with a single selection. I've only created one line here, like that. Notice that the yellow is what we've built into the top of the GDS 103 for the NINA target. And the other things here are those particularly important are in deck, where to point your scope. These instructions give you some good ideas, but basically you can edit this. If there are multiple targets that you'd selected, they'd be all listed here. But you can edit these fields in particular. These are defaults. Now, I recommended, depending on magnitudes, which you'll see over at the right here on your huge file, that's a combination of GDS and WDS and Gaia data. It's a really good selection of data that you can go over there and find the magnitudes. And you may well want to change, you probably will want to change the exposure time based on filter and the target's magnitude. You certainly can change number of exposures. You can change the cycles. You may not want to do that many. You may want to do more. At any rate, you can change that edit in your CSV file. And when you're settled on that, whether it's one line or 20 rows, you can save it to in a CSV file. Very important to save it as a .csv. Be careful, you'll save it in Excel and it won't work. So that you save it in that, and you're complete and you're ready to run your observation in NINA by loading the file that you saved. Thank you. I hope that makes it easy to understand.